and basketball is the place to start today because, folks, the season came to an end last night, and talk about anticlimactic. My gosh, the Celtics just dropped the hammer on the Dallas Mavericks. The game was not close. I'm not going to say it was over before it started, but once it started, it was over. 106-88, the final. They ended the third quarter with a 86-67 lead. When we have Simon Applebaum on the show, he's going to tell us the ratings were terrible. There's no other way to put it. Larry O'Brien Trophy, all-time, 18th for the Boston Celtics. Indeed, they are the champions, and really, honestly, were not challenged all that much during the NBA playoffs. We'll talk about them going into next year as well. Jayson Tatum had 31 points. Jaylen Brown, the MVP, had 21 points. Drew Holiday, 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. So congrats to the Celtics. They end up taking home the trophy, and until next season, that will do it for the NBA. But first, let's hear from Jaylen Brown, who was, of course, a huge fan, like a lot of us were, of Bill Russell. He gets the championship trophy and also takes home the MVP of the finals.
Jaylen, knowing what Bill Russell meant to you, and to have this moment in your life and your career tied to him in that way, what does that mean?
To be honest, I can't even put it into words. Just Bill Russell and what he's meant for me through my Boston journey, and his spirit, everything that he stood for. Just for this to be the Bill Russell MVP award, and it just, I got nothing, man. I don't even know what to say. It's unreal.
Kind of funny, Jayson Tatum was the finals favorite to win the MVP on FanDuel for a long time. And then all of a sudden, the odds just completely flipped to Jaylen Brown, and Brown ended up taking home the MVP trophy. All right, now on the side of the Dallas Mavericks, very disappointing NBA Finals. But needless to say, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving had over 1,000 points combined in the playoffs, 1,122. That's the most by any guard duo in the single postseason in the NBA Finals. Luka Doncic talked about what he learned from playing in the finals and coming up short.
What do you take away from this that will help your team get back here next year, ideally, and win it next time? Is there any particular takeaways from being in the finals?
Right now, I don't really know. It's not what I'm thinking, but they're a great team. They've been together for a long time, and they had to go through everything. So we just got to look at them. See how they play, maturity, and they have some great players. We can all learn from that, and we got to fight next season.
Dallas Mavericks will try to run it back and see who comes back to that team next year too, with a bunch of free agents pending. As far as the Celtics are concerned, going back to them for a minute, Jayson Tatum may not have won the MVP of the finals, but he could have made the case he was the best player in the finals. He was fantastic, and now has a ring to show for it, and he talked about winning the championship, and it exceeded his expectations.
Being on the other side of this and losing in the finals and being at literally the lowest point in a basketball career that you could be, to next year, to the following year, thinking that was going to be the time and come up short again. So, people have said it before, but coming up short and having failures makes this moment that much better. Because you know what it feels like to lose. You know what it feels like to be on the other side of this and be in a locker room and hearing the other team celebrate and having them celebrate on your home floor. Like, that was devastating. And now to elevate yourself in a space that, all your favorite players are in, right? Everybody that they consider greats or legends have won a championship, and all the guys I looked up to won a championship, multiple championships. So now I can like walk in those rooms and be a part of that. It's a hell of a feeling. This is more. I dreamed about what it would be like, but this is 10 times better.
Good for the Celtics as they win the championship, and they just announced the parade will be later this week, I believe Friday morning, if I'm not mistaken. They just made that announcement. All right, Joe Mazzulla, meanwhile, becomes the youngest coach to win an NBA title since Bill Russell won. At the same age in 1969, Mazzulla just 35 years old. Meanwhile, Kristaps Porzingis and the coach, Mazzulla, are going to have surgery. Porzingis will be out for a few months to get knee surgery. Mazzulla has a torn meniscus. Meanwhile, Jeff Van Gundy, former coach of the New York Knicks, spent 16 seasons on TV. He's headed back to become the Clippers' top assistant. And by the way, Celtics are favored to win the NBA championship next year, 3-1. Denver Nuggets, 7.5-1 over on the FanDuel Sportsbook. All right, tonight, the Stanley Cup is in the house in Sunrise, Florida. Can the Panthers close it out? They are minus 137 on the money line to do so against the Edmonton Oilers. That series is 3-1 Panthers, total 5.5. Joe Madden will be with us coming up in just a little bit to preview some of the topics in that game. Meanwhile, Rory McIlroy had a tough time, of course, in the U.S. Open. He makes an interesting announcement. He's taking some time off. He was scheduled to play in the Travelers Championship this coming week. Instead, he's going to take a break and posted on social media. He will, quote, rue a few things over on the course of the tournament. And naturally, yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that can affect you in golf. Hopefully Rory is okay. I took some shots at him yesterday. Sort of regret it. All right, Les Miles. How about Les Miles? He has a lawsuit that's alleging that the Tigers school deprived him of property rights associated with his vacated wins and potential nomination for the College Football Hall of Fame. He needs a winning percentage of 600 to qualify for that. And without those vacated wins, he sits at, get this, 0.597. So I think he just needs one win to try to get back from LSU. 70 years old, won the championship back in 2007, did Les Miles, who famously used to eat grass on the field. I don't know if you remember Les Miles. All right, the Yankees are getting back Gerrit Cole. He's going to pitch tomorrow night against the Baltimore Orioles. He hasn't pitched at all this season. He's looked good thus far in his rehab stints, but naturally it just was rehab. It wasn't the big leagues, and the Orioles are no slouch. But Gerrit Cole is back, and he will pitch tomorrow night, and we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, the Yankees are going to have to figure some things out. They did call up a young player by the name of Ben Rice. I just saw that the New York Post is reporting that this morning because Anthony Rizzo is going on the injured list 4 to 6 weeks with an arm fracture. And I don't think they're calling this kid up to sit. Although yesterday they said DJ LeMahieu was going to play first base, so maybe they've pivoted from that. I'll keep an eye on this throughout the show. Also, Trey Turner back for the Philadelphia Phillies. They win by a final score of 9-2. Turner was doing awesome before he got hurt. Edmundo Sosa was filling in. They won't need him anymore now that they have Trey Turner. Meanwhile, how about the New York Mets? The Mets have won 6 straight games. They had the grimace, the grimace from McDonald's throughout the first pitch. And since he did, they haven't lost. So they're using that as their motivation right now. They won last night, the final over Texas, by the way. Good team. 14-2 was the final. And Francisco Lindor has come alive. Brandon Nimmo has come alive. And, naturally the Mets are probably an okay team. They're playing better now than maybe they did earlier in the season. But the bottom line is they have so many still good hitters in that lineup who were not playing to the back of their baseball cards for the first 2 months. So it shouldn't be all that surprising.